Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Crawford. Welcome to the 7-Minute Spotlight, where we share stories, ideas, and concepts to encourage us and guide us in our lives. Today, we're going to talk about permission. It's an interesting word. I've got a story to tell of an experience that I had with someone else. A good friend of mine, Warren Greer. Warren worked for our company for 3 or 4 years and has gone on to some really interesting things that he does. But he and I had this revealing moment, I guess is what you'd have to call it, is that a lot of people in life are looking for permission where they don't need it. Let's get right to the chase. You have permission to be you. Now, one of the things that happens is you think about that word permission, it has the word permit in it. I'm in an industry, transportation, where we have to have a lot of permits. The different states that we go through, the federal government, the U.S. DOT, there's fuel taxes, registration taxes, highway taxes. All these different things are basically permits that allow us to be in business. If you've ever built a house or remodeled your house, you know you had to have a building permit. When we learned to drive, we got learner's permits, and many of us did, many still do. And our driver's license is actually a permit that allows us to use the highways and byways of America. And so we're accustomed to having permits and permission. I even recall being in elementary school, we would have permission slips. If you have to leave the classroom for some reason and go to maybe the bathroom, some other part of the school, going to the library, going to the office, whatever it was, the teacher would give you this slip that basically is if you were stopped in the halls, you had this permission slip that said that it was okay for you to be there. So we became accustomed to having to have permission. But when it comes to running our own lives, we just can't go crazy willy-nilly, but we have permission to be us. And the thing that Warren and I came up with was this idea of a fable of there's this horse, a really great show horse that has the best stable, the best barn, the best food, the best care, the best medications, whatever it would be that you would want to have for a championship show horse. But in that barn, there's other horses that go down towards a door and then out into a corral, and beyond the corral is a pasture, and beyond the pasture is a meadow. And the other horses get to go out into that area, but the show horse that has it made does not get to enjoy what other people are doing because of the expectation that it is just properly cared for, maybe even over cared for by its owners, so it can serve the purpose of being a show horse. That's kind of maybe a silly story, but when you think about it, how much of our lives are we looking out, seeing something that we would like to have, but we think we don't have permission? Now, we can't abandon our families, we can't abandon our responsibilities, but it is not crazy to change careers. It is not crazy to relocate. What's crazy is to not make a decision out of the fear of what other people would think. I've always shared stories about my dad, and he had one that was really, really interesting. In 1960, he had the opportunity to leave his job with another fella and start a small trucking company, and they were going to haul windshields back and forth between Minneapolis and Detroit for one of the major automobile manufacturers at the time. And at the last minute, Dad got cold feet and thought, well, I don't want to give up what I have. And so he and his friend parted ways, very friendly, very amicable. The friend went on to be, very successful with his venture, probably over 100 trucks. Dad went on to doing what he did with his small business. And Dad's comment was, success was I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. And that little small business that my dad created was enough to sustain himself until he passed. And then my mom lived 16 years after him. When they sold their business in 1978, what he had put together kept my mom alive and sustained with income until she was 93 years old. It was 16 years that she had lived without my dad after he had died. But I believe she was 62 when the business was sold, and she died when she was 93. So there's 30 years of what my dad had put together. It wasn't as big and recognizable as the other gentleman, but Dad didn't have to ask permission. He just went ahead and did what he knew was right for himself, for his family, and eventually for his employees. And so, what does that do for us? I think we need to examine our lives and say, where are we holding back because of us? A few weeks ago, we did talk about going to the end of the pier, and that is based on us not taking the steps. But this permission one is really more of a fear thing that, gosh, what will other people think? Or what will the outcome be in the eyes of other people? Or how is it going to impact other people? And yes, we certainly don't want to be irresponsible. We don't want to be in a position where we're making rash decisions and they're harming other people. But on some things, we don't need permission. We need to do research. We need to make wise decisions. We should never be foolish in our decision making. But when it comes right down to it, we have the opportunity and we have the responsibility to live our life, and we don't have to ask for permission to be us. Each one of us is created by God individually to be who we are. The Army recognized that because their slogan used to be, "You can be all that you can be." Well, that's just not for the Army. That's not just for the military. That's for all human beings. God has created each of us so that we can be who we're supposed to be, so that we can honor him, and we honor him by being our best self and taking care of other people. Let's think on this week. We'd love to hear from you. It's steve@stevecrawford411.com for emails. Thank you for listening. God bless you all. We'll see you next time.